Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from sunny California. Live from the Californians' hometown of Laguna Beach. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath and co-host, senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to SoCal. And welcome to Q&A Day. It's Q&A Day Saturday, Sleep In Saturday, whereas everybody got to sleep in except me. I got about 4 hours in last night because as soon as I got back to the ashram,
I'm up.
you may have noticed
that Mara is up.
And I tell you, me and Took, we can just talk and talk and talk. Finally, he just said, "You got to go to bed."
So you stayed up talking last night after?
Well, I got home late. I wouldn't have got 6 hours of sleep, and then I was just like, "I got to talk to Took. And we just talked. It was sweet. Right. We're buds. We talk. How are you? We had a fun thing last night.
It was fun.
We had a little kirtan at Yoga 108.
Meeting some others.
People are coming up to me. Hey, nice Buggle Bundy. It's like everybody knows what a Buggle Bundy is now.
But you weren't wearing a Buggle Bundy.
I wasn't wearing a Buggle Bundy. I think everybody thinks everything looking fancy is a Buggle Bundy. But the Buggle Bundies are the ties. Ones that tie on the side. That's a Buggle Bundy. I was just wearing a fancy vest.
Yeah, your fancy
vest, Mara.
It was a pretty great party vest.
Fernanda got that for me for my birthday in India.
That's sweet.
Yeah. Anyway, great day yesterday with this Wisdom of the Sages crew.
Yeah. You should have just crashed here with me last night. You could have just flopped.
You know what? Maybe
tonight. You got to think about that. Think about that tonight.
I'll think about it. How are you? Good? You feel you had a good time?
Yeah, I'm a little tired, but hey, we got to jump right into this, right? We can't be like all
dallying because I got to get in a car and drive back to Long Beach
right after the show
and pick you up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we got a show to do, Raghu. We got to focus.
By the way, what do you think of Ahimsa vegan food in Long Beach, California?
Fantastic.
We got to put if you're not following them, you get on your iPhone right now and you follow them. Because yesterday I was like, "Hey, Tukram, we gave you such a shout out for your restaurant at the show. You probably have 1,000 more followers." And he goes, "No, I got about 6." I was like, "This." I was like, "All right, you guys, right now, you pick up that phone, you follow Ahimsa vegan.
But that was before anybody heard it, right? Like it had just been released, the show.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was in the morning.
I just think the Zoomers are a little lazy, taking us for granted. Ahimsa Vegan Cafe. Mary, you can put that on the board, please.
Okay.
Anybody else we got a shout out to?
Well, Yoga 108.
Right? Yoga 108 Studio.
Yeah.
Great yoga studios in SoCal. Madhuri. Madhu Life played drums for me yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Guy's great. Madhu Life. Follow him. And follow me at Raghunath Yoga. And you can ask me any questions you want. And sometimes I even answer it.
Okay. Well, speaking of questions, are you ready?
Yeah. Am I first or you first? How about
I got a question for you first.
Okay. I'm feeling sharp.
This comes from Todd Harris in Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville.
He writes via email.
All right, let's hear it.
And he writes, maybe we should tell
Todd
people,
Harris.
We always got to make the announcement that if you have questions, this is how you send them in, right? Mara, could you help with that?
Yeah, you can email us at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com.
Okay.
Mara's walking in there yesterday like a celebrity.
Yeah, she's a big shot. No question about it. Yeah.
Okay, hit me.
People love Mara.
Are you loud enough? Is he loud, or am I just extra
I think
loud?
everybody's talking because we're all in like homes where other people are still sleeping.
You better wake those people up, Kaustubha. You got a mission for God. Be like Arjuna, fight.
All
You
right.
can't just be like, I'm going to fight lightly.
All right.
Don't
So
fight lightly.
This is from Todd Harris in Louisville, Kentucky. He writes, my wife and I have recently started down our Bhakti path. Nice, right? Husband and wife together. Pretty sweet.
It's all nice till one drops out.
Hey, hold on. Whoa. My wife and I have recently started down our Bhakti path, and it seems we're trying to piece together the correct way, quote unquote, correct way, which oftentimes feels sort of DIY, do it yourself, right? They're just trying to figure it out. But, he writes, but, in all caps, one of the things I love most about Krishna is that it seems devotion trumps dogma.
I think
about
that. I think that
There's
for
no
sure.
rules. There's no rules. Is that what it's saying?
We've
trying
got
to
a lot
say?
of rules, but
devotion
trumps it all. Devotion trumps the rules.
Yeah, yeah. Question is, how deep is that devotion? Right? Okay. Anyway, I have started chanting quietly during savasana. Okay, he's shifting here. Now he's talking about his yoga practice, right? His asana practice.
Somewhere else with this. Okay.
Yeah. So it's savasana, that's when he's at
Corpse
the end.
pose.
Corpse
Just
pose.
Laying down, quiet. Teacher's like saying something or nothing.
Something annoying. Anyway, I have started
Notice
chanting.
your breath.
Notice your breath. I have started chanting quietly during shavasana and love it. He loves it. But isn't the point to completely clear your mind and not think of anything? Anyway, am I therefore ending my practice incorrectly? Thanks again for all you do. Miss Zooming with you in mornings during the last few weeks, but listening to recorded lessons daily.
All right.
So that was
Sometimes
Todd
you gotta
Harris
try
in
on the-
Louisville. He's in
Sometimes you
Louisville,
gotta try
Kentucky.
on the other hat. See how it feels.
Yeah, yeah. He's in
Sometimes
Louisville.
you gotta-
Right?
Louisville, Kentucky. I've
Louisville.
taught there a couple times.
Maybe
I
that's
wonder
where
if
he's
he's
hooked
from-
up.
Maybe he's from the yoga scene there. Yeah, hot yoga Louisville. That's where I taught.
Okay.
Cool group of people. First of all, congratulations. It's exciting being on a spiritual path with your partner. Now, if you're, by the way, I just want to mention this first. If you don't have a partner that's on a spiritual path, guess what? That's your spiritual path. And it might not be as easy, but you know what? That's part of Krishna really expanding your heart and mind to just accept people who are just that you're in there with, but they're not necessarily doing exactly what you do. And can you love people like that anyway? And generally, if you really wish them well, you take care of yourself, and magic either happens or it drives you apart. But it's understandable, and it's great to see you guys both on a spiritual trajectory. As far as shavasana goes, shavasana is a time to be somewhere resting. Now, depending on your nature, and yoga teachers know this, when you say, okay, close your eyes, everybody, there's some people that just can't close their eyes. During shavasana, they're like looking around the room. What's over there? What's up there? What's going on here? Where's the teacher?
Was that
It's just
you in the beginning of your yoga career?
No, I'm the opposite.
Oh.
So this looking everywhere, this is rajas. Means you're wrapped up in this raja guna. It means you're always thinking, always planning, cannot rest. Then there is the opposite of that, which is tamas. Tamas is me. When I hit shavasana, put me in any reclined position, I'm asleep instantly. So I'm the guy who's snoring in class. You also, yoga teachers, you know that guy too.
Okay.
But in shavasana, we should be somewhere in the middle. We should be resting, but not planning, and resting, but not snoring. We have to be just resting. So what I like to do in shavasana is I like to chant to my students. I chant softly some mantras. And what Todd is instinctually doing, he's chanting in his mind. Now, in a world of impersonalism and yoga, impersonalism within the yoga community, they'll say, yeah, empty your mind. It's not just emptying your mind, it is being alert and awake, but resting. And so, mantra is actually what you're supposed to do, because meditation isn't supposed to be about emptying the mind. It's making the mind peaceful so you can meditate on Lord Vishnu.
Mm.
And japa serves that period. So, I got some good news for you, Todd Harris. You and your DIY wife, you are right on track.
It's working.
This Saturday morning. Good job.
That's what, you know, Raghu, I sent you this video the other day, but I don't think you've seen it yet.
With the Saturday Night Live?
It wasn't a Saturday Night Live one.
Oh.
It was of this woman that I knew. She passed away, I don't know, maybe like 5 or maybe in 10 years. I forget exactly. She was such a sweet woman. Her name was, everyone called her Mother Isha.
Mother
right?
Isha.
Yeah, she was like a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. She passed away. I'm sorry. She got interested in bhakti like probably around 1970 or 71 or something like that. And at that time, like in the Hare Krishna movement, it was like there was Srila Prabhupada who was in his 70s, and then everyone else was like
Children.
19 or 21 or something like that. Right?
Yeah. 17, 16.
But she was 55. Yeah, but she was 55.
Oh, she got into
so she
it
was
when she was 55?
Yeah. Yeah.
How old
And
was she?
So she was kind. What's that?
When
She
she
was
passed
old.
away?
I don't know exactly how old she was, but let's say if in
It's like 50
70s
years
she was.
ago. Was she in her was she a centenarian?
Well, maybe, but let's say she passed away like 10 years ago.
Okay.
So.
I mean, what about it?
So she was a beautiful woman. She was, everyone called her Mother Isha, and she was very motherly to everyone. She was older than going way back, what to speak, when she started getting into her 70s and all that. She was a very sweetheart, always making little gifts for everyone. She would sew things and bring them into everyone. It was just a really sweet woman. But towards the end of her life, she got Alzheimer's, right? And so she couldn't remember anyone. It was like, it's scary, right? Like people, it's probably one of the scariest things where people are like, I'm going to forget everybody that I know. Can't
Especially,
recognize my
I've
family
had this,
members.
I've had this, question also. It's like, what happens if a person's a devotee practicing spiritual life, and then they get how do you pronounce it? Alzheimer's. It seems unfair. Tell me, but I know where you're going with this. Tell me the story.
Okay.
just everybody
So
knows.
I was watching a video of her in her, near the end. She's so old, and people are saying, hey, do you remember when so-and-so came and visited you the other day? Do you remember that? And she's looking at them, and you can't tell if she gets it at all or not, She just kind of, there's no real response to all the different questions that are being brought up. And then someone says, do you want to chant? Do you want to chant Hare Krishna? And then the person starts to chant, singing, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And immediately she just goes like this, boom, she perks up. And she starts to sing. And she even changes the melody and then just starts to sing with gusto. It's like there's a person there that's like externally just like there's nothing here. There's no connection. It's like, like the computer's been shut down and there's it's like the battery's alive, but there's no ability to calculate. But all of a sudden, like you could see all life, kind of immediately perk up in her. And she was just going on and on singing, but singing, not even just singing, but like singing with emotion. And you could see like how deep that mantra gets. We chant and we worry like, I'm not a great meditator. I'm not a great yogi. I chant this. I'm inattentive. My mind is elsewhere. But it goes in deep, and it sounds like what's happening in his shavasana is like already it's going deep in there. And so when he kind of shuts everything down, that track is running underneath, and that's an entirely powerful spiritual track,
Right.
And it's awesome.
Do you ever find that happens if you chant a lot of japa? Then you stop chanting, you're walking around, you're just chanting japa in your mind constantly. Catherine Haggerty's like, yes, I do.
Or you go to sleep and you're chanting, like you lie down and go to sleep and you just find, I'm chanting. I didn't even think about it,
Yes.
I once did this breath work. It was like this far out breath work, which isn't my kind of thing, but some people were encouraging me to do it, so I said, okay, I'll do it. And it was one of
Aaron,
those
did you
things.
just hear that? Kaustubha's doing breath work. Did you hear that?
I did catch that.
And so, we're lying down, and then they're taking you through all these steps, and like you're supposed to like scream, and then you do all, these all different things, right? And then you're supposed to just lie there and watch your mind. And what I found was like, without even consciously doing it, I was like minutes into it, but I was just chanting and chanting and chanting, and
Oh, that's good.
yeah, it did feel good, All right. Anyway, I think who was asking that question again?
Todd Harris.
Todd Harris. I think Todd
Sounds like
Harris. It's
he's doing
working,
good.
Todd.
I love hearing people going through their things and evolving in Bhakti. It's exciting.
It's exciting.
Bhakti's exciting,
It is.
right? Just like that Indian guy I met in DC the other day. Remember? He said, everything's boring.
Even
You know,
Bhagavatam is boring
The
sometimes.
world is ultimately boring.
Yeah.
It's just a boring place. It's like, all right, been there. Now what? What do you want to do? I don't know. It's
All right.
fun hanging out with the Wisdom of the Sages crew. We never all three of us just hang together like that. We just walk in the.
Well, it's been since COVID.
But even still, just all three of us, me, you,
In
and Mara
India,
together.
in
Yeah.
upstate New York, when I go upstate, times. You just forget those times.
It's rare, I'm saying.
Nowadays.
I
it's rare.
appreciate
Even
it.
then it's rare. Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
And we're to be in a new place. Okay. All right, Matt, this is from Matthew Seva. He's
Matthew
here. He's
Seva,
made
he's
his
a
way
daily
to the
Zoomer.
top of the Zoom board. I don't even
Yeah.
quite know how you do that. He's
Nobody
muscled
knows.
his way, devotionally muscled his way. I am new to Bhakti, so
All right.
please excuse any ignorance revealed by my question, which relates to the nature of the soul and the migration of the soul at death. I understand that each individual soul is distinct, analogous to a spark of divinity. My question is this: at the moment of death, what exactly migrates to the next body? The concepts of karma and past life regression suggest that part of the conditioning of the material world is attached to the soul. And the soul moves along with it to the next body. Is this the case? And a related question: when we say that each soul is separate and distinct, is each soul otherwise identical? Or does each one have its own characteristics or, for lack of a better word, personality? Any insights would be appreciated. Thank you, Matthew Seva from the Discord thread. Good question.
Excellent question. Excellent question. I love this topic because it's getting right. It's something that we talk about so much, and something that in my own life I'm just trying to understand, not just theoretically, but like I want it to change me, like this knowledge, understanding this. And spiritual knowledge, understanding the difference between the soul and the body, feeling it, seeing it, operating in awareness of it. I was, who I was talking to yesterday? I met another.
Mikey Lee?
No, Elijah.
Mikey Lee was there.
It was Elijah from Oregon.
Elijah from Oregon.
Right.
It's classic.
You were
Classic
calling him.
other.
Raghunath kept screwing up his name. He was just like
Jebediah.
Isaiah, Moses.
Every biblical name I could think of. Abraham.
Nope, Elijah. So we were talking about this, just like how knowledge of spirit and knowledge of the distinction between matter and spirit, how that has the potential to change our individual lives and change the world. And really this idea, that consciousness is something that's not material. It's not, you can't make it out of material ingredients. You can't make consciousness in a laboratory. It's something that exists separate. It's an energy of a different nature, and that's what we're made of, and every living being is made of it. Every human being, every plant, every animal, that there's a spark inside that makes it grow and reproduce and eventually die, which we can understand as leaving that body and taking on another one. Now, whether one accepts that as a fact or not, shouldn't every living being be exposed to that idea, and be afforded, the opportunity to contemplate it, to observe the world and see if it makes sense, to read text on it. So in any case, we're talking about that, and this question really gets right to that. Okay, it makes sense that here's a body, in one moment it's alive, and the next moment it's dead. Well, what was making it alive, right? And so if we go to Bhagavad Gita or Upanishads or all that Vedic literature, it says that there's a spark of spiritual energy. It's not material, it's spiritual. And the nature of spiritual energy is that it's eternal. It doesn't even change, right? It's like there's nothing you can do. This is where Krishna speaks about this in the Bhagavad Gita right off the bat to Arjuna, right? You can't what to it, Arjuna, to it, Raghunath. Like you can't burn it.
Chedyoyam. What is it?
Oh, you're breaking out the Sanskrit.
Wait. It's eating me, and I didn't get any sleep.
English will work.
Huh? Give me a first word.
I don't know the Sanskrit to those verses.
Oh, I knew it all.
You can't.
They can't be cut to pieces, withered by wind, hit by a tornado,
Burned,
soaked by
soaked,
water,
things like that. Run over by a car.
run over by a chariot.
By chariot.
Chedyoyam, Sandyo, Kledyo, Eva, Eva Cha, Hankara, Idiom, maybe. I don't know.
You can't blend it in a blender.
Not a
There's nothing you can do.
Vitamix.
Even a Vitamix will not
Kill
do
the
anything
soul.
to it. Yeah. So the body dies, the soul goes on. And that soul, it's like a battery, right? It's like what makes it come alive. And as soon as the battery leaves the body, it's dead. It's a corpse and it's got no life.
It's unbelievable that you have nothing to do with everything I think that you are. Your face, your Italian face, your
Your
arms,
Italian
your
face.
beautiful hands, your eyebrows.
They're growing older, though, at every moment, though, Raghunath.
Yeah, I know, but it's got nothing to do with you.
Yeah, that's right. Which gets to the second part of his question, which is an interesting question. Like, in other words, okay, it makes sense, when we think about it that way, that there's something inside that leaves the body and moves on. But is like, am I different than you? Like, once you get rid of everything external, right? Like, once you get rid of the body, which looks different and which is constantly changing, and even like the personality traits, right? Is that me? Or is that something imposed on me, imposed on my mind? Is it temporary programming? So that's the second part of his question. But let's deal with the first part of his question first. What transmigrates from one body to another? Because he's saying that, like, well, if you look at the law of karma, doesn't the law of karma just like make all the pieces of the puzzle fit together? Right?
Yeah.
When
Otherwise, nothing makes sense. Even something like positive mental attitude. Why? Right?
Yeah, if everybody
It's
just
like,
does
if
it.
if life is not eternal, be positive about what? Like I'm about to I'm about to be crushed in the material in the material trash compactor. Why would I ever be positive? We're all about to die any moment, and everything I love is dying.
Or even like if you say, like the power of the power of having a positive mental attitude and what it affords you, like you'll get what you focus on. Well, what if I'm focusing on one outcome and Raghunath's focusing on the exact opposite outcome? Is it just like a battle of our of our will? Yeah, sometimes we focus on something intensely and it doesn't come about. So the law of karma, it just kind of, if you think about it, it can make all the pieces of the puzzle. Even like when we were, like you and I were exposed to like religious teachings, which had a lot of wisdom in them.
Right.
But because it didn't include reincarnation and karma, you can't really answer questions like, why is one person born in this situation, another person born in that situation,
Right.
Why is one person going through hell and another person seems like they're a bad person, but they're getting everything they want,
It's all good. All those things that sort of like try to give you a little upliftment. All those Instagram posts, it's all good. It's all for the best. It's not all for the best. In a world without eternality of the soul, it's completely miserable. It's like it's good until it all falls apart.
Right. But if you understand karma, then you can transcend it, right? So his point is, if karma is real, right, and if I'm born in a certain circumstance, in a certain body, with certain tastes, certain individual, kind of like proclivities, if you want, like then that must be coming from my past life. And if that's coming with me from my past life, I thought just the soul, and the soul is pure and unchangeable. What exactly is it that transfers from one body to the next? And it's an excellent question, And so this is the way we can look at it, that, first of all, within that body that's about to die, there's not only one battery that's making it come alive and spreading its consciousness through the entire, through the entire body and animating it. There's actually two batteries in there. right? And that's there's the Atma, which means the soul, and then there's the Paramatma, which means literally like the super soul or supreme soul. And that's Lord Vishnu, right? And so Bhagavad Gita is going to make the point that within my body, my consciousness, my soul, me, the Atma, is spreading its consciousness throughout my entire body. Now, my consciousness is spreading through my body, but it ends there. It doesn't extend even a millimeter beyond my body. And Raghunath's consciousness is spread throughout his body, and Mara's consciousness is spread throughout her body. And I don't know, like right now, I got a feeling Raghunath's tired, right?
What makes you say that?
But I can't say for sure. He may be acting, because my consciousness doesn't penetrate his body. And, you don't know if I'm hungry right now, right? Because your consciousness is limited to your body and it doesn't enter my body. Now, I was talking with Tukaram the other day. Tukaram knows, like, he's got some Sanskrit abilities, he's more...
Secret Sanskrit abilities.
He does. And so he shared with me something that, man, I should have known this like a long time ago. I've been practicing this for like 30-some years. I may have heard it, but it didn't register. But the name Vishnu, right? Vishnu. It's the root of it is Vish. And do you know what Vish means?
No.
It means that which enters into, that which permeates something is Vish, right?
No,
Vish.
either.
Yeah. And that's what we really need to understand about Vishnu. He enters everything. He not only enters, he enters our body with us. And so not only is my consciousness spread throughout my body, his consciousness is spread throughout my body. And whereas my consciousness is limited to my body, the Paramatma, the higher soul, the supreme soul, enters into every body. So I don't know if Raghunath's hungry and he doesn't know if I'm tired, but Vishnu knows both, right? And he also permeates every atom, so he's like sometimes, it's like we understand that a living being is special and is afforded special, there's a response to the specialness of a living being, right? Like if someone's conscious, then naturally we should show them some respect and some kindness and so on. Whereas like we won't show that same respect to an inanimate object. We'll hit it with a hammer or do something like that. We won't hit a human being with a hammer, because they feel it. They're conscious. So in inanimate objects, there's no Atma in there, but the Paramatma is even there too. So in one sense, Vishnu's consciousness permeates everything. So when the body dies, it's not only the Atma that transfers, but also the Paramatma goes with it. And that Paramatma is the network, right, that connects every atom and every living being. And that is carrying that karmic code, right, carrying that karmic awareness of what's next for this being. And ready to, it's all plugged into that computer. So it's not only the Atma, but it's the Paramatma. And there's one other subtle aspect that's going to transfer to, and that's the mind, right? The mind also travels
Is that
with...
bad news? Get your mind too. Sorry about that.
You want to lose your mind?
You gotta lose your material mind.
Yeah, so the mind also goes, and so that mind is like a computer. So it's like, okay, I'm moving out of one office and moving to the next office, and I'm bringing my computer with me, right? And meanwhile, like the company has cameras in every room, and those cameras are waiting there in the next room where I go. That's the Paramatma, aware, the witness, right? Witnessing everything. And so then you move from one body to another, but you take your computer with you. But it's almost like you give your computer to the company and they erase some of the information, when you go into the next one. So we don't go into the next body necessarily with memory of our previous life, although some do.
Episode 6, Surviving Death.
That's right. Little
Netflix.
children remembering all kind of things. So sometimes,
True.
it's all true. And so we may remember some of the stuff from our past life, but we probably don't. But we do come with programming that's based on the previous life, programmed right into the computer of our mind that we take into the next life. So 3 things go from one body to the next. In one sense, the Paramatma doesn't go from one to the next because it's already there in the next. But you could say 3 things that are in this body are going to be in my next body. And that's me, the Atma, the Paramatma, and the mind. The mind will go with me, but that mind will get a little, a little reprogramming will go on, or a little deprogramming, will go on as you enter into the next body. So then you'll pick up in that body with a lot of impressions from the previous life or even lives, and a lot of karma due to you that the Paramama's just, at the right time and the right way is ready to arrange. And that's transmigration. And then
That's great.
the second question was just like, okay, well, is that Atma, me, is it just like totally generic? Like 100%? Like, in other words, is all our individuality and all our individual proclivities and our taste and our mannerisms and whatever, our desires, is that all imposed? Is that all artificial? Is that all temporary in the mind? Or do I have a personality that's different? Like, in the end, once we conquer the mind, transcend the mind through yoga, and are free, are we all just like one substance that has no individuality? Or am I still me as an individual and unique? And the Bhakti philosophy says you have something called the Svarupa. Your Svarupa means like your own form. It's like it's an eternal thing. And when you uncover that, it has its own personality, its own taste, and its own service, and its own unique flavor of love for God. Because God wants to taste all unique flavors of love, right? He wants to love one person this way. He wants to love another person that way, and love another person another way, and love unlimited living entities in unlimited ways. So we all are individual like that because we exist for the pleasure of God. And so therefore, to facilitate that pleasure, we're all unique.
Good
All right.
question. I mean, we
Yeah,
even
it's a
see
great
in this
question.
world, well, the good news, Matthew Seva, is that your mind, some people hear, oh, I got to carry my mind to my next life. I think it's safe to say me and Kaustubha have witnessed our own minds, intelligences, and egos change in the practice of bhakti. And I'm sure you have, if you've been in the path a little, you've noticed also your desires changed, your sense of self changes, the things that you move for in this world that you think this is going to give me pleasure change. So the mind, if you struggle with the mind, I got some good news for you. It's going to change in the same way your body can change by going to the gym or going to some physical yoga classes. The mind actually changes for the better. And like Kaustubha was saying, even if you sort of lose your mind, like you get Alzheimer's or something like that,
Yeah.
that bhakti you have there, because it's not just you doing the changing also. Krishna's now, you've invited Krishna. When we chant the Mahamantra, when we chant Kirtan, you've invited Krishna almost to do the internal work, the internal engineering, the internal house cleaning of the consciousness. And Krishna's with you. He's become attached to you. He's always attached, but once you say, I want to be attached to you, then there's some real magic, there's a cemented bond, and Krishna just stays with you. And that's what you got going for you right now, Matthew Seva.
Awesome. All right, Raghu. Are you ready for your next question?
Hit me.
All right. This is
man.
coming from, this is for both of us, actually. This comes from Tanya Sonsini. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Sonsini? Do you know, Raghu?
Sonsani?
No, Sonsini. It's I-N-I, Sonsini. Tanya. Okay, Tanya. And she's a daily other and an occasional Zoomer. And she wrote to us via email. She writes, hello, wonderful gurus. Thank you for... Hello, wonderful guru, Raghunath. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for your incredible words of wisdom. Oh, you're too kind. Can you please help with book recommendations? Okay, that's something we could... You've read a few good books in your day, Raghu, right?
I've read one.
Okay. Can you please help with book recommendations? I've read the Bhagavad Gita and thoroughly enjoyed The Journey Home by Raghunath Swami. Excellent book. You had a guest once that was a photojournalist that joined Srila Prabhupada and wrote his story. Actually, that was her story. We'll get to that. Right. What is the name of her work? Any book recommendations you can give me is much appreciated. So here's a person that's interested in bhakti and read The Journey Home, read the Bhagavad Gita, and is looking for more. What do you recommend, Raghu? You got any thoughts on that?
Well, this is Mara knows all the books I like.
Oh, Raghu, you just ruined your connection there. There you go. Nope, can't hear you. Can't hear you. Wriggle.
Come
I think.
on.
There you go. You're on.
I mean-
Don't touch it.
This isn't one of your typical reads, but there's a great book I love called Follow the Cowherd Boy.
Oh, follow.
Mara, did you like that book?
I
Did you
love
ever read
that
it?
book.
My wife.
Oh,
I
good.
never read it. My wife read it. She loved it.
Follow the Cowherd Boy. It's sort of like a we read about Bhakti nowadays, and then we read about Bhakti thousands of years ago, and this is sort of a, what do you call those types of stories, Mara?
It's sort of like, what would you call it? Like historical fiction?
Historical fiction. It's based on the life of Mirabai, but it's loosely based because there were no actual biographies. All the information was taken from, the author went to the temples where Mirabai was a princess in Rajasthan in the 1500s during the Mughal invasion. And it tells the story of this princess saint. And she also tells her story in her songs. She was a famous songwriter. Her songs are still very popular in India. And she was sort of a legend, like a folk legend. And it's her story and what it was like to be in medieval India. And it's really, philosophically, it's pretty right on. And it's just really interesting to get to peer into Indian culture at that time. Anyway, it's called Follow the Cowherd Boy by, who's the author, Mara?
J.A. Joshi?
Oh, good. Joshi, Joshi.
No, hold. Mara's right on that. She's like,
We haven't. This was not rehearsed.
yeah.
And whenever I tell her to read, whatever information I give her, she memorizes that and she keeps it with her. And
That in Google.
Well, even though that you Googled it quick was good.
Googling quick.
So, you got any other thoughts, Roger?
Um,
Follow the Cowherd Boy.
Follow the Cowherd Boy. I like that one.
That's a light
And
read, right? It's a light read.
It's a light, fun read. I push people right to Journey Home and Mahabharat. Those are like their entry
Oh,
levels.
Mahabharat. Okay.
Mahabharat
Recommend
by
a version?
Yeah, my favorite version is Dharma, Krishna Dharma.
Krishna
Krishna
Dharma.
Dharma. Although you and me like the other one, Kamala Subramaniam, too.
Love that Kamala Subramaniam. I like them both,
Yeah, I love them both.
for different reasons. Okay. Well, now the book that was being mentioned is called 5 Years, 11 Months, and a Lifetime of Unexpected Love. And that's by Vishaka Dasi, right?
Vishaka, that's a great book.
It's a fantastic book. It's like she's like a kind of like just a cold, clear, intelligent, at that point in her life, like atheist, but she gets thrown into a crazy world of Hare Krishna, and
Because she was a photojournalist.
she was a photojournalist.
She got thrown into, go to India and do a thing on
do a project.
swamis and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then she dealt with, a lot of the problems that are there in, spiritual institutions,
Yeah.
and had to kind of weather a lot, particularly because, her own mind was already skeptical about spiritual stuff or religious stuff. But it's a very fascinating read.
She grew up in a family of like atheistic intellectuals.
Yeah. Right. And so that's a great book. Again, it's called 5 Years and 11 Months. And then the subtitle is And a Lifetime of Unexpected Love. Now, I was thinking of another book or two that I would recommend. First of all is The Journey Within by Raghunath Swami. Right?
Mm.
The Journey Home is his memoir of his travels around India as a young man, meeting all these different gurus and having all these different near-death experiences and trying to figure out his own spiritual path. Awesome book. But his next book was The Journey Within, which is more like almost like a chicken soup for the soul of Bhakti.
Minus the
right?
chicken.
Minus the chicken. but that book, it really, if you want to learn what is Bhakti, it's told through, there's like a philosophical point made, drawing from these ancient texts. And then there's like a modern example, like from his own life of how it plays out. So it's like a back and forth of storytelling and like kind of revealing ancient wisdom, just sewn together in an easy to read way. New York Times bestseller, an excellent book.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, if you like The Journey Home, it'll be a natural one for you to want to read next. But what's another book that I recommend for people, Raghunath?
Saints of Brudge, O.B.L. Kapoor. That
No,
one?
not that one.
I
You
like
like
that
all
one.
that kind of stuff, right?
I like all that kind of stuff.
I was thinking
Mara, remember that book, Saints of Brudge?
Yeah, I love that book.
Saints of Raj. I was thinking of the book. If there's one book I can recommend where you get it's an easy read. It's a light read. It's a biography, so it's easy to read. Like that. But it also, like, if you want to learn about bhakti and its practice, so much of the teachings come out through the life story, and that's Srila Prabhupada's biography. It's called the Srila Prabhupada Leela Amrita, right? And there's two versions of it. There's like this, I think it's a 6-volume version, if you want the
Right.
whole life in detail. And then there's also, like, they condense those 6 volumes into one, like a abridged form.
Mara is a master because there's been a lot of biographies about Prabhupada. Mara, what was your favorite one? She's read every one of them. Like,
It's so hard to say. I really like Shama Sundar's books.
oh, Shama Sundar's books are great.
Chasing the
We gotta
Rhinos.
get
Hey,
those.
there you go.
That's
Chasing
the book.
Rhinos.
That's the book.
Yeah.
Chasing Rhinos volume. What is it? What's the?
There's
Chasing
volume 1
Rhinos.
and 2. Chasing Rhinos
And I
with
think
the Swami.
3 just came out. We got to get him back on the show, right?
Yeah.
Chasing Rhinos with the Swami.
Chasing
by
Rhinos with the
Shama
Swami.
Sundar Das.
Hmm.
What's that other OBL Kapoor book we used to read, Mara, that had the thing about all the magical stories about the deities?
Ooh, that was so good. I'll find it.
Okay, look that up.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So those are some recommendations. I hope they're helpful.
Okay, I hope that was good. And also, if you're listening on the chat board, throw your favorite books up there. That's the pleasure of being in. Oh, Parman, and
Swami in a Strange Land.
Strange Land. That's a good
Joshua
one, too.
Green.
Joshua
Yeah.
Green. Henry loves Chasing Rhinos with the Swami. Yeah, come on, Zoomers, put up your favorite books. Yeah, Henry loves OBL.
Oh, Experiences in Bhakti, I think.
Experiences in Bhakti.
Yeah.
That's a great one by OBL Kapoor. It's all these very peculiar stories about deities doing things. It's a thing. It's a whole thing, isn't it? Deities do magical things.
They write a book about it.
Write
What
a
about
book.
that little tiny pamphlet book, Raghunath? One of our favorites, right? The Nrsimhadev Miracles one.
On a String of Day Miracles. That's a good one too.
All right, we're moving slow today, Raghunath.
I'm slow. I'm sorry.
No, me too. But in any case, we don't have to do lots of questions. We're working our way through a few today.
What do we got? Is it whose turn?
You're reading for me now, right? Oh no, am I reading for you? Let me check. I'm reading for you. Okay, yeah. Okay, this has come from Bob Hollowell from Philadelphia. Filthy, I call it sometimes, right? You ever call it that?
Filthy? No.
Yeah, that's what Haryasa used to call it. Right? He's from there.
To
So
me,
you can
because of Palo Santo wellness, Philadelphia has become a holy place.
Ah, okay. So he writes, how does a devotee deal? Oh, this is a tough question, Raghunath. Okay, but you are the right man to answer this one. Even though you're tired, this one's going to wake you up. There you go. How does a devotee deal with the burnout of life and still continue to execute their sacred duties? Not only how do they continue to execute, but how do you complete with the right mindset? I feel like sometimes I'm just going through the motions and my mind is just fried. Help, Bob Raghunath. How do you deal with burnout? And how do you do your duties when you feel burnout? And how do you do it in the right mindset?
Good question.
Are you struggling with it at this very moment yourself?
Well, a lot of our work in this world, if not most of it, with you and me, some people can relate to this, is directly engaging in. I mean, we're here in California. We're doing I did a kirtan last night. We're going to do satsangs all day today. I do a yoga class today. So a lot of our stuff directly has to do with talking about Krishna, explaining Bhagavad Gita, etc. So there's much less burnout in that type of directly serving Krishna like that, because it's enlightening and it gives you sort of great joy in it. But a lot of people don't have that, and they're in a job. They're sort of like disconnected. They're in the workplace is completely mundane, and they're devotees and they're sincere and they're trying to refine themselves so the workplace can burn themselves out. As you connect your work to Krishna somehow, if it's completely divorced from Krishna in the workplace, and it doesn't have to be, But if it is, then something from that work, maybe some resources, should go towards something Krishna conscious, God conscious. So it doesn't seem like, okay, the grind and then there's my spiritual life. They should somehow, there should be a bridge connecting the grind to the spiritual life. Does that make sense?
But how do you connect it if it
Like
seems
I
so
said, it could be
foreign?
some resources you make from that work that you
Okay.
put towards a spiritual topic. You feel like I'm supporting this with my money.
So
I'm
that when you're
supporting,
going through the grind, you're like, I'm doing it for a good purpose.
yeah, I'm doing for a good purpose. Yeah, and truthfully, for me, it's not even well, I'm raising my family. I don't even feel like that's the highest purpose.
Hmm.
With me, if I take my kids on vacation and it's a nice thing, even though it's a nice thing, unless I feel like I can give them some spiritual something or other,
Hmm.
I just feel like I'm buying time in the material world. I feel like for me, even if it's like I'm saving money to raise my kids, that's not enough for me. It's got to be I'm doing something to raise my kids towards something spiritual. I'm taking my kids to the Rath Yatra festival with the resources or something like that that's going to actually change them in a way, eternally change them.
So now it's not just I'm taking care of my family, but it's like I'm taking care of the souls of my family.
Souls of my dependents also. um and then and then when we get to our spiritual life has to become a little bit more refined. And I think as we get older, more and more time should be given to that personal bhajan, that personal spiritual self-care. And that's just part of retirement. Retirement in the old days was, my life is stressing me out, my life is burning me out, and now I'm just going to golf. I'm just going to golf till I die, and that's how I'm going to live life. And in spiritual life, it's sort of like, okay, I might be getting burnt out, but I've been cultivating something sweet this whole time, and I'm really eager to spend more time doing it. And when I finally get to a point where my duties are relinquished, then I'm fully absorbed, and I'm preparing my soul to leave the body, and I'm preparing my. I've been working on it, working towards it. If you're sort of new to bhakti within the last 3 years or so, this starts coming more clear, and Krishna will make it more clear. In the same way clouds just move away and then you can see a mountain range, all of a sudden Krishna will start to reveal to you what your long-term plan is. And it might be something like, wow, I got to change this job. Or, oh, I get what I'm supposed to be doing here. This is giving me the opportunity, affords me the opportunity to do this. Oh, how blessed am I? Things become very, very clear as we become very, very focused on Krishna. I'm not sure if that helps. What do you think?
No, I think that's great.
I have all this, check all the boxes.
You know, well, it did for me. I don't know, but yeah, I found that that there's the burnout. Maybe you could answer. I guess you gave it like a long term kind of thing. Like as you're going through the burnout, here's like a long term vision. Like here, connect it all, and also just like the conviction that I'm doing this for a good purpose helps. Do you have any like short term things?
Short-term things like Mara. She gets all the chefs in her kitchen. She's like, everybody's chanting a japa today. Before we start cooking, pick up your beads. And she makes everybody just sit there and chant one round together. We're going to infuse that in the food. Then she plays kirtan during the day so they can't space out and listen to their, this Sirius FM 80s mix. So while everyone's working in that kitchen, they're all hearing transcendental sound. And so if you're in charge of the workplace, you can start to tweak things. Another thing is, if you're not in charge, let's face it, you generally speak to people during the course of the day. Just by speaking to people either in a kind way or a transcendental way, because there's somebody that's going to see some spark of life in you, and they're going to ask something. Hey, what do you think about this? They're going to know you're spiritual in some way, and they're going to ask something of you, and then you can give them some bhakti, and you can have a special. You'll be surprised. I find it all the time that I meet somebody and they have some question about bhakti, and I'm not even going out of my way to like, who can I give my secret bhakti information to? It's just like Krishna will send some person to me, and then it's like, this is what they need, So
You know why that happens, Raghu? I believe is because you want it, right? It's because that's where like I was going to say, it's my observation. We don't know how it'll happen or even necessarily when it's going to happen, but Krishna fulfills your desires, right? Especially the devotee. Like, I know it's in you to want to share that, and it's in you in an intense way. And look, like you get like Krishna, it's like, here, go on Joe Rogan, talk to 10 million people. It's like, if you desire it, it comes. But what about like burnout in the sense that like, I think the way the world is nowadays, we work long hours. There's no end of the work day. There's no
End of the
weekend.
workday.
It's like
Not like
texting.
the old days.
You get burnt out. Yeah.
Fathers, mothers, they come home, they do some other stuff. And in the old days, you have these traditional roles. A mother is knitting. The father's tinkering in the garage.
We're all going to sit down.
Tinkering? No one's got time to tinker. My father used to just go downstairs and tinker with stuff. He had a whole workshop. All his tools were in perfect order. You don't want to see my workbench. It's a mess. I can't tinker. It's like a war zone down in my basement.
Right. So people got to we got to be aware of this. You do get burnout, and you got to draw some boundaries. It's like all the different forms of social media and other types of media and all the work pressures and all, it's burning us out. So you got to get nature and some time away from it, I think, right? You got to carve that time out.
Sure.
Too. I think that's there too, just on the most practical level, right?
Because the world is just pushing you to work harder.
Yeah, the nervous system is freaking out, right?
Yeah,
it gets burnt out.
You can make some very bold statements too. Oh, I usually go to lunch, but instead I'm actually skipping lunch. I'm getting a smoothie after I go for a walk or a jog or a workout or a yoga class in my lunch break. Things like that can really change your mind as well, change your consciousness as well.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Raghunath on jogging.
That's why we went to the beach. That's why we went to the beach yesterday, right? We were out there. Mara was out there with us.
Did a pranayama on the beach. Some breath work. Is that it? Is that it?
That's it.
Is that it?
Yeah. You made it.
What? All right, everybody. I wish everybody on this Zoom class was here in Long Beach with us today. Where am I? And we're going to see a bunch of you guys next week in New York for our Wisdom of the Sages New York there, including Matthew Seva, including Ariana Lindbergh and David Charles Wilson, I think. Including Jimmy James. Are you going to be there, Jimmy James? Maybe we should do a Florida one. Let's do a Florida Wisdom of the Sages thing. And it'll be around Jimmy James's pizza place.
I think that'll be a very popular one.
Jimmy James will be there at least.
That's true. Hopefully. It would really suck if he wasn't.
It would really suck if Jimmy James didn't come. But maybe Mara can get in there with Jimmy James. With her meatballs and his pizza, we have an Italian festival.
Yeah, we can make that a week-long festival thing.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. If you want to write to us for Question Day next week. Oh, you know what? Because I don't think we do the show tomorrow.
Oh, no show tomorrow. Yeah, we got to put
tomorrow.
Mary, you on that?
Yeah, no show tomorrow.
No show tomorrow. Sorry about that. I'm exhausted, but we're gonna do it Monday. Monday we're gonna have the show, and we're gonna have Tukram as a guest tomorrow, but we're just too wiped out. But we're gonna get Tukram back on as soon as we kick it into
normal mode.
Normal seems so far away right now, doesn't it? Because next week we're going to dive back in. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Remember, follow Ahimsa Vegan Cafe on Instagram. And follow Wisdom of the Sages on Instagram. Write us messages on Instagram. Tag us in a post. If we said something that talks to you, talks to your heart today, write it down. Take a picture of it. Post it on your stories. And then write tag us. And we'll tag it back and repost it. Sometimes those little shout outs really help people's day, or that sort of changes something in them. And that's what this whole thing is about, is can I transform my life by adding a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of knowledge. This yoga information goes very, very deep. And to the degree that I put it to my life, to the degree I change. That's just the way it goes. Now I want to dance.
Hey, anything happening today, Mara?
Yeah, we have a Bhakti recovery group meeting at 9:30.
All right. And anything else happening?
What am I forgetting?
Anything else, Mara? It has to do with remembering.
Remembering Krishna?
Shloka study.
Sloka
Sloka
memorization. All right,
study.
Sloka study.
Yes.
That's at 11:15.
He's back, everybody. Nitai Lieberman is back.
Oh,
My best friend, who's 8 years old.